Hi, I'm Shemcat, and this is going to be a commentated speedrun of the Octopath Traveler II Galdera speedrun. So the first thing that is important for this run is the combat of Octopath 2. So it revolves around two major principles, that being breaking and boosting. So each enemy has a set of specific weaknesses, either weapon types or elements that you have to hit. And then once you've hit them a certain amount of times, they are broken and are vulnerable, take twice the amount of damage they normally would. And that means you can boost your attacks using boost points which are accumulated after each turn. And that allows for you to just do your most powerful attacks while they're vulnerable and get through bosses very quickly. And another thing that's important for the Octopath Traveler 2 run is field skills and path actions. So that is the way in which each individual protagonist can interact with different characters out in the wild. So for example, Throné can use the ambush skill as she is a thief. And that can be used to get enemies out of your way. And yeah, bypass them and progress with the story a little more. So we'll see the combat a little more here. So we use Scratchy to hit the break on that. Throné to use Darkest Night, so a dark attack to hit the elemental weakness of that guy. And then we're not going to hit a weakness there. Rather than hitting the 3 weak points, we're just going to do enough damage whilst it's unbroken in order to get all the damage we need. And with the other two guards, whilst they're broken, we're just going to boost up some attacks and get some big damage on them. So that is the starting tutorial area for Throné's Chapter 1. So Throné's story, she is a thief and she is part of this gang called the Black Snakes. And her story is all about trying to sort of gain independence from that group. And she wants freedom, basically. That's what her story's all about. And to start off this, we need to do one part of the story. Or for this run, we need to do someone's starting story. So we start with Throné, since she is probably the best character to have as like a protagonist. And so at the start of this, we're just running around meeting our two leaders, so Mother and Father. And finding out about all our mission, which is breaking into someone's mansion and killing them, basically, alongside Scratchy, who is apparently a traitor. So Throné's other path action is the ability to steal. As she is a thief, that is quite logical, and so she can steal things from NPCs with a specific chance. So it might range from like a 3% chance to a 100% chance. And most of these enemies most of these NPCs are pretty likely to be able to steal from quickly. So basically all of them 100%. Which allows us to just really quickly run around, steal some things, and then do some more running towards the next objective. So some of the items we stole there, most of them are various things you can sell for money later on. But 3 of them were 3 soul stones. And those are very useful items, since they deal a set amount of damage. So they're just expendable items you can use, and they deal a set amount of damage each time, no matter who you're fighting, no matter your level. So it's really nice when we're lower levels to just be able to get a nice set amount of damage each time, without having to worry too much about that. So the other way in which we can interact with battles, we can fight them or we can just flee, which we can do there, which is a little bit faster than trying to fight them. And it's generally going to be what we want to do, since fighting enemies is typically kind of slow. So now we're against our first boss fight of the run. This is Pyro, our friend from earlier. So what we're going to do, we're going to hit him with 3 lots of Darkest Night to deal 3 shield points of damage. And then we're going to do a boosted Darkest Night to just get some more damage on that. And then for the next 2, we're just going to use 2 sword attacks, since that's all the damage we need. And he's going to be broken there, so from there we can use our items and use a Shadow Soul Stone, which will deal a solid amount of damage to him. And from there we can use a Light Soul Stone, hit another one of his weaknesses, and then use a 4 boost sword attack to get through him again. And then we unlock our Latent Power, which is a new mechanic to Octopath 2. Which basically gives each character their own unique ability in combat, which is achieved through either taking damage or breaking opponents. So Throné's allows you to move twice in battle, which is very, very helpful, since it just basically allows us to get 2 hits for free without really having to do anything for it. So we can use that, use her Latent Power on our broken Pyro, use 2 Soul Stones and make some nice progress there. So now we're into the exploration phase of this run. So Octopath, it's got a lot of combat, but it's also got a lot of exploration between the world. And of course, whilst we're exploring, we do get random encounters as we're trying to move from town to town and get items which will help us progress towards our final objective, which is Galdera. So I guess I should explain that a little more. So the category Galdera is basically getting to the secret super boss in this game and winning. So Galdera is the absolute hardest thing you can fight in this game. And yeah, the main interesting thing about this category is you do not need a lot to get there. You need very little actually to actually fight Galdera. So this run is basically just doing the minimum amount of possible things in order to get there and to win the fight. Since, unlike Octopath 1, it's not tied to any of the characters' stories or anything, it's just once you've gotten these specific side quests done, which you can get from basically the start of the game, you can just do the quest and win, pretty much. And of course it's not... But the one thing you need to make sure you have all 8 characters. So we're going to head down straight away and get our first, or our second traveler of the run. This is Oswald, who is the scholar. His story is all about revenge and getting back at Harvey. But his class is very magic-based, so he's got a lot of elemental damage he can bring to the table. He also spent a lot of time in prison, and in there he learnt how to mug people, which is one of his path actions. So what he can do is he can use an ice wind to break this person, and then use a boosted twice fireball to finish them off. And that allows us to just get a bunch of items pretty quickly, since mugging people just gives you all their items, and we can use that to sell for money later down the line. Run in here, get some even more money from that house in Cape Cold, then walk back to the abandoned village, which we tagged earlier. Once you enter an area once, you can walk back there whenever you want, even if you just walk in there and do nothing. And what we're looking for here in the black market, we're looking for clerics, which is about a 10 to 15% chance, and we got it first try, which is incredibly lucky. So the clerics are unique in that they sell soulstones, which I've mentioned are good before because they do a set amount of damage, no matter your level or anything. So specifically the M soulstones will be really useful for just dealing a set amount of damage in way higher level areas than we should actually be at. For example, this level 20 danger level abandoned waterway. So getting first try clerics is very good RNG. What isn't very good RNG, on the other hand, is getting caught by surprise and getting wiped by these guys. I couldn't have done anything about that, but it's not that big of a deal since I did get the first try clerics. So it is pretty chill. So we're just gonna go again. The game autosaves every time you try and enter an area. So it's not too big of a time loss. But from there, we can just use a quick Ice Soulstone and wipe that fight really quickly. Without really, any effort. Just use one item and that's all we need. And from there, we can run in and get a quick 8,000 gold. Then we also get into another little mechanic of Octopath 2. So the world is made up into 3 continents. Totohaha, and the eastern and western continent. And we have to travel between those via boats. We need to pay money to get on those. I don't know why I did that. I assume that was just a misinput. I think I was trying to flee and I was just mashing too hard. So yeah, walking through here to try and reduce the chance of a random encounter. Since if you're running, you'll get them, but I got unlucky anyway and had to deal with that. So just try and flee. There isn't really a good way to break these guys, both of them at once. So I just try and flee unbroken. So yeah, that's something I should mention. If an enemy is broken, or if everyone is broken in the field, you have a 100% chance of fleeing. So that's why I end up breaking some guys before fleeing. And this is another high level encounter for us. But a light soulstone is all we need, and from there we can go into a little menu and unlock some skills. So this will just give us more abilities to use in combat. And once I've learned a specific amount of them, I get support skills, which are things that just apply all the time. Just like passive stat abilities, which are mostly used for in combat, but are sometimes used in the field. For example, evasive maneuvers. So that is a skill I just learned on Oswald, which will reduce the chance of getting random encounters in the field. So you can already see I'm running for way longer without getting one. So it is a very, very powerful skill to have. As for speedrun, since it just reduces the reduces the time you are stuck in random encounters, basically. So it's very valuable to get that as early as possible, and it's just a very useful skill to have all around. So evasive maneuvers will allow us to enter this level 50 area, or level 48 area rather, the Cavern of Waves, and try and get a bit far in to get a item from it. So we're going to save and quit here. This is in order to reset the step counter. So the step counter is basically what determines if you get a random encounter or not. And by setting it to 0 again, it basically just means we spawned in this room now. So we can just get a little farther without getting any random encounters, which is very useful since we don't want random encounters. Unluckily, I still got one there, which you can't really do anything about. You are just dead. No matter what, since it's about 40 levels above you, so I just have to restart that. That is pretty unlucky since, yeah, we just need to get... So that was a pretty early encounter, basically. You don't get that all the time. But this like early game encounter RNG is probably the worst part about this run. Like, I could improve this, but it's rough sometimes having to deal with that RNG. And so the reason we were in that area is so we can get to that one chest, which has an item called a JP Augmenter in it. So the JP Augmenter basically just increases the party-wide JP you get, which is very, very powerful, since it means every fight you do, you get more JP out of it, which you use for your skills. So it basically just means you can learn skills faster, get support skills faster, and yeah, it's very valuable since we do actually have to do a little bit of grinding in this run, so it reduces the time needed for that as well, to just get to the level you need to be at. So as we take a little walk through here, we're going to be approaching our third traveler for the run. This is Agnia. She is the dancer. Her story is all about wanting to become a star. And the dancer class is mostly just about supporting the party, like various support skills. However, we're not going to get her just yet. She's not super useful for us now, and having a smaller party means the random encounters we get will have less enemies. So it can be a little more helpful to be running less people now, so long as you don't have to do any like major fights, which we won't for a while, since this is just a mainly exploration phase of the run. Took a few hits trying to flee there. It's not that big of a deal. Just so long as you don't get wiped, is the main thing, which, yeah, it does happen. Sometimes. I mean, it's happened twice already, which is awesome. But through this next screen, we can just run. It's a pretty short screen, but we're going to be approaching Ozrash, where Partitio lives. Partitio is the merchant who is a very powerful class for us, and his story is all about destroying capitalism, pretty much. But yeah, Partitio and the merchant class is very valuable to us, since the merchant class has some very, very strong skills, as you will see later, which can just do insane amounts of damage very, very quickly without a lot of setup. Which means it is, yeah, just super, super valuable for that reason, basically. And now, two travelers very close together. This time we're going to be seeing Hikari, who is the warrior. So Hikari is all... his story is all about trying to reclaim his kingdom. He is the Prince of Ku, and he has been banished by his war-hungry brother Mugen. So he just wants to take it back and make Ku a peaceful place to live. And he is the warrior class, which is all about just the physical, strong man, physical damage class. It's pretty standard stuff. Like, it's probably the most basic class out of everyone. Just big physical damage. don't think I really explained Throné's class. Yeah, that one is like speedy class. A lot of skills really related to speed. And also some cool things with like stealing, like HP thief or just stealing items. But it also has the ability to debuff opponents, which is another useful thing about this class as a whole, since debuffs are good, believe it or not. So when we turn it to night here, we always get this encounter. And provided we don't get ambushed, we can just throw a light soul stone and just win, basically. And that is, yeah, very, very easy way to deal with that encounter as we approach Conning Creek, which has some useful items there. So we do that again with this screen. This screen works in the exact same way. If we turn it to night, we always get the scorpions. Which I barely did on time there, actually. So yeah, just scroll down to the items, and then the light soul stones are at the bottom, so it's a really quick menu to do. And you can just get rid of all enemies, since it does a set amount of damage. And it is not, like, the amount of damage you could do with Throné and Oswald right now is not even close to what we'd need for this. So we're going to run to this lower level of Conning Creek. And from there, we can find a lady who we can use Throné's Steel on to get a large soulstone. So there's 3 levels of soulstone. Large is the strongest, and then the M, which we've been using, is like decently powerful. And then we've also been using the small, which against like Pyro, which isn't as good. And then we can steal or just take from the chest a little glass bottle, which will be used for a quest later. So this is Casti. This is our 3rd travel we're going to add to the party. And she's the apothecary, which is kind of a mix between like a good damage dealing class and also a healer. And Casti has a unique skill in battle, which is Concoct, which basically allows her to give a variety of different buffs and buffs to the party or debuffs to the enemies, which you wouldn't get access to normally from just like the regular items. So she can be a very powerful party member for that reason, particularly. And her story is all about so she's just washed up on this island without really any of her memories, and her story is all about trying to work out what what led up to losing her memories and work out who the hell she was, basically. Some people, to recruit them, you need to do a little thing first. So Hikari, you have to do this little fight against these guys. Really easy, just use a small ice soulstone, and then use an attack from anyone, and that'll get rid of the bandits, or the knights, or whatever these guys are. So we can add Hikari to the party, and then we can just replace Casti real quick, after you got a quick level up from that. Then we can use Oswald and Partitio's skills. So Partitio can purchase, and Oswald can scrutinize. So scrutinize can allow for things like hidden items to be revealed, and then purchasing things, basically just like Throné's Steel, but instead of it being like a set chance, it is a you just pay money to guarantee it. So that guy we just walked past, that's Al. When we walked out of Throné's Chapter 1, he gave us a little side quest to do. He lost his bag, and we have to find it. And that is one of the quests required for beating Galdera. So we're just going to do a quick fight against this glowering man here. All we need to do is just boost with Throné and use HP Thief, and that's all the damage it needs to take. So we can get Al's bag back, but we're not going to give him to it right away. First, we're going to head into this little shack in the woods, and we're going to meet Akar, who is the inventor. So on top of everyone's base class, you can also apply a subclass. So an example of that is the inventor, which is a pretty unique class. You don't unlock skills the usual way as well, with like using your JP. Instead, you need to find items like out in the wild. So like that glass bottle I found in Conning Creek. And by putting those together, you can create inventions, which give you your extra skills. And yeah, these are going to be very valuable. Especially that first support skill I just learned, which is called a step ahead. Which, yeah, it's broken. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Partitio's nighttime skill of hiring, and then we're going to use his daytime one of purchasing, so don't have to rely on Throné's RNG. So we're going to equip a step ahead on everyone now, or on 3 of our party members now. And that will allow us to... So this skill basically gives you a free turn in front of the enemy anytime you're not ambushed. So I don't think I got ambushed here. So yeah, it just gives you a free turn to do whatever you want. Unfortunately, I kind of wasted it there by failing to flee twice. But it is incredibly valuable, since it allows for just really early setups without having to worry about any RNG and like any enemy RNG like coming before you or whatever. And it is just incredibly powerful. So in order to deal enough damage to get rid of the Armor Eater, we need to break it first, so it takes the additional damage. But that isn't too bad to do, so long as you have a step ahead, since you literally have 3 guys to hit it with. So even if you miss, you can still deal with it. Then just run down there, get a quick spot of cash, and then you head on to the next area. So we're going to go up here. So a major reason for this is so we can get the merchant license, which basically allows you to have 2 merchants in the party at once. So Partitio and someone who's using the merchant class as their subclass. So unfortunately, Step Ahead does not kick in if you get caught by surprise, and that is like really brutal turn order. I really could not do much about that. So you just have to kind of basically just let it kill you and then run again. Oh, got a Kate there though. I did not remember that at all. So Kates are a type of enemy that spawn in very rarely, but increase the amount of XP you get significantly. So yeah, that is very helpful in situations like this. See, we can get the merchant license, so we can now have 2 merchants in the party at once. We're going to challenge this guy. That is one of Hikari's field skills. You can challenge people to duels. And if he wins, he can learn their skills, so we can learn like specific skills to learn in battle. But the reason we do that is to reset the step counter, so we can prevent getting another encounter as we run down here into Crack Ridge. Oh, get caught slightly on that wall. That's slightly cringe. So from here we can now warp to New Delsta again. And we can set Throné onto the merchant class, learn a few skills, most importantly hired help. And then from there we can use 2 little 2 of the support skills on the merchant. So grows on trees, which increases the amount of money you get after encounters, as well as boost start, which will allow you to start a battle with 2 boost points rather than 1, which allows you to get to your most powerful attacks just a little bit faster than you would normally. So hired help is a very funny skill. So it allows you to pay a certain amount of money to bring people into battle, and that is, it's similar to Soulstones in that it doesn't matter what level you are, you're going to be doing the same amount of damage each time. And these guys are really strong. These guys do not mess around. The only downside is that you have to be careful with how much money you're actually spending on them, since you don't want to spend too much and prevent yourself from being able to buy things. So we have to be very careful about our money route here. But hired help is an absolutely insane skill, so long as you're using it correctly. It's one of those things that can be kind of scary to use in casual, since you don't want to waste your money. But once you know what you're doing, it's crazy good. Another K. I can't remember if I soulstone this one. No, I just flew. Yeah, that's fair enough. So Kates are also very evasive and can be very hard to kill sometimes, and will flee basically as soon as they get their turn. So, but however, elemental attacks such as Soulstones have a 100% chance of hitting whenever you use them. So that basically means if you use a Soulstone, you win. But if you don't use a Soulstone, you're probably going to lose. Or if you don't use a magical attack, rather. So yeah, we can use a Soulstone on that encounter in order to get rid of it pretty quickly. And from here we're going to be going into the Cleric Guild. And getting a Cleric license. Which is a character we actually just ran past. In Flamechurch, that was Temenos, who is the Cleric. So the Cleric is a very, is a much more straightforward healing class compared to, like, the Apothecary. But it does still have some pretty useful ways of getting damage. And Temenos is probably my favorite character in Octopath 2. His story is all about exposing the wrongdoings of the church. And yeah, it's sort of like a more of a detective-y thing. But yeah, it's a very fun story. I'm a big fan of Temenos. So we can run into Montwise here. This is where we will do our other bit of story. So we're going to do Hikari's Chapter 2, which isn't required for fighting the Galdera, and a lot of modern routes don't do this, or a lot of more risky routes will do this. But I opt for a little bit more consistency, since I prefer it, basically. And I don't need that additional time save. So I'm going to do Hikari's Chapter 2. So in this chapter, he's basically forced to fight in an arena, so our friend, our strategist friend, who I've forgotten the name of, Kazan, that's his name, can basically bet money on us and get enough money for helping take Baku, pretty much. In these fights, we have to fight with solo Hikari. But since we have Soul Stones, it doesn't matter that he's kind of low level. We can just completely roll all of our foes with Soul Stones pretty easily, honestly. So this next set is against 3 separate enemies, and we can literally just use 1 Ice Soul Stone, and that will get rid of all 3. So this is where the guy who basically owns all the gladiators starts to get a bit angry. He sends his stronger opponent in this, or his stronger soldier in. This is Zeto the Butcher. And he actually requires 2 Soul Stones to kill. Whoa. So he's weak to lightning and sword, so we start off with a Thunder Soul Stone. And then 3 hits of the sword. And then either a fire or a Thunder Soul Stone to get rid of him there. So yeah, another very quick fight. Another thing that differs from Octopath Traveler 1 in this game is the fact that you can speed up the combat. So you can either have ×2 or ×1 combat speed. And ×2 is obviously going to be optimal at every possible point in the speedrun, since it basically just makes it all 2 times faster. That wasn't in Octopath 2, or Octopath 1 rather, so you just had to spend the entire time in ×1 speed. So watching Octopath 1 now is like slightly cursed. So this is the big guy, Bandalam the Reaper. You have to hit him once, just tank a hit, and then hit him 4 times. And then from there you can use a Wind Soul Stone, your large Wind Soul Stone, and deal the rest of the damage. He actually requires a Wind Soul Stone rather than a small one, so he's a bit beefier than the rest. And then we have to fight, he just doubles in size. So the first thing here, we need to armor Corrosive to weaken him physically, and then break him using our lance attacks from Particio and Hikari. And then you can use Hide Help to get 4 guards to whack to whack Bandalam a bunch of times and win the fight, basically. And that's all you need to do. It does insane amounts of damage. And since we have a step ahead, Bandalam doesn't even get a chance to attack. And the reason we were doing all that is to go back into the arena. So we're going to ambush this guy's Throné, which will trigger a duel against Uranus. And if we can win that, which we know how to do, since we can use Armor Corrosive to weaken her physical strength, and then we can use an even more powerful version of Hired Help, Veteran Soldiers, and literally hit the damage cap. And that gives us an item called the Champion's Belt. So that gives us a flat stat increase to our strength, so it's useful for that. It's gonna just increase our strength by a solid amount. But the other important thing it does is it prevents random encounters from happening, which is incredibly valuable. Or not random encounters, it stops surprise encounters from happening. Which is very incredibly valuable since it guarantees us going fast and basically just being able to win those encounters. Rather than the one, say, in Crackridge, which I was forced to take a death to, I can now just not worry about that at all. Now we're going to put Temenos and Casti into the party. And we're going to make our way forward a little bit. We also put Throné onto the Inventor class. So the way this class works, rather than requiring SP to use, so special points to use, you use it once, and then you have to spend a turn repairing it. So with your specific moves, or you have to spend a certain amount of turns repairing the move you just used. So it's free, and they repair themselves after every turn as well. Which is the other nice thing. So that basically means if you can use just one of the inventor skills in a battle, and that's all you need, it's really good since it doesn't use any resources. So for example, we're going to set it to Knight here against this enemy. So we're going to use Changeable Catapult, which is basically just gives you one AoE attack of one specific element, of one specific weapon type. You can choose whichever one you want. And we only need that one hit to kill with Throné. So it's just a really fast way of dealing with those encounters. Since its AoE doesn't use any resources, good damage. Another reason to set it to Knight there. So Throné has the Blessing of Darkness, which increases all your party's stats during the nighttime. But Temenos also has Moonlight Judgment, which will debuff all the enemies and give them blindness. So it's very valuable. Making sure to set all your encounters tonight, pretty much, or whichever ones require the extra bit of damage. So we got a pickaxe earlier. We're going to use it for a quest in Winterbloom. That quest will give us a little item called a Rusty Sword, which it doesn't do anything at the moment, but we'll be able, once we find a specific guy, we can trade it in, and that will give us the Champion Sword, which is a pretty solid sword, you know, but it's also very expensive. You can sell it for a lot of money, so that is very useful. Also, we went into the inn. What that does, it basically just refills your HP, SP, and latent power gauge. So that is very useful in terms of giving everyone full latent power, since everyone's latent power can be very valuable to them. And before we go into the next area, we're going to change Throné's job to a merchant. The Inventor Changeable Catapult just isn't quite going to do enough damage in this level 45 area, but Hired Help will. Hired Help is stupid. So we're going to grab this chest, change it to Knight, and then once the encounter spawns in, we're going to defend with Throné to get to the start of the turn. And then use Hired Help Guards, and that will just win. That'll just do enough damage to win. It's insane. And also with the Champion's Belt, we're also getting the no chance of a random encounter, or no chance of a surprise encounter, so we don't have to worry about that either, which is super nice. Which, since, like, surprise encounters will be very common in an area like this. So now we're going to learn a few skills on our different characters. Learn a couple skills on Cassie, on the Merchant, in order to get boost start, and also equip step ahead onto her, and learn a few skills on Oswald, which is able to give him a skill called Extra Experience, which, believe it or not, gives the party extra experience after battles. So this is the guy who will refine our blade for us, and it will also give us a class called the Arm Master, which is basically just a beefed up version of Warrior. More very damaging skills, access to every single weapon, which is nice. And yeah, it can be kind of crazy. So we're gonna steal a fortifying nut from this guy. Getting very unlucky there, oh my god. But the fortifying nut, so nuts in this game are expendable items that you can use to permanently increase the stats of a specific party member. So the fortifying nut increases physical damage, so we're going to use that on Throné later on. Gonna sell the Conqueror's Sword. So the reason we hired the guy earlier is because when Partitio hires, it gives a useful effect in terms of when you're, like, doing things with buying, or, like, purchasing things. So that first guy gives you more money every time you sell something. And the guy I just bought basically gives you a discount when you buy things off of NPCs. And we got a very expensive purchase to do here with Terry. So we buy the Unfinished Vessel for 100,000, and by having a 20% discount, we save 20,000 leaves, which is super valuable. And we now have our own boat, which means we can go anywhere we want. We don't have to pay for boat trips anymore. That was unfortunate. And there's various chests out on the water, which we can get for things like money, for items. So we will go up here for an EXP augmenter, which will increase our XP further alongside extra experience, which is super helpful. And then we can sail to one over here as well, after equipping that and the Champion's Belt. Since we equipped the XP augmenter over Throné's Champion's Belt, so we just put the Champion's Belt onto Temenos instead. So we can go over here for the Sunken God Statue, which will sell for quite a lot of money. And then we can add in some more late game areas. So this is level 50, level 45 area. A Shipwreck of the Empress. I can't remember what the danger level is, but it's way too higher to what we should be doing right now. So we're just going to run through, set it to night before we get our encounter. That is 4 Urchons. Actually surprised our foe, which is very unlikely. But it's kind of cringe, since it means I have to just deal with all the other characters. Since I was kind of happy just chilling with Throné. Yeah, by using 4 lots of guards, we can just get through that encounter really quickly. Get a bunch of XP for it. And then get a Rusty Dagger. Which we can trade in for Porter, the blacksmith. Which we will do in a little bit. So we're going to set tonight again for this encounter. Do the same thing, just deal with them really quick with our hired help guards. And then we can learn the skills we've learned on Throné on Partitio as well. So collect Ember and then hired help. And give him a bunch of support skills as well. So that basically means we have 2 merchants at once, able to support each other and able to deal twice as much damage with hired help, which is very nice. So before we get our encounter, we set it to night, so we get the extra debuffs. This is where having two guys comes in helpful. So we defend with both. With Particio, we're going to hit 4 weak points with the bow, and then with Throné, we're going to hit three weak points with the beastlings, and then get 1 big bit of damage on the broken golem to get the kill. That is a very high HP enemy, so yeah, we have to use beastlings, which are slightly more expensive than guards, but also deal a lot of damage. So the beastlings are basically just hit the weakness no matter what, also do good damage, because why not make hired help even more broken than it was in Octopath 1? So we go through that high level area in order to unlock the Giant's Club. This is a type of staff, so Temenos and Oswald's weapon, which does an incredible amount of physical damage compared to elemental damage. So those two classes are more about the elemental stuff, but this weapon in particular can make the physical stuff really broken, which isn't seen too often. There's only a couple skills that are useful for it, but we will make use of them in this run. So one last high level area to use our guards through in this segment. So I think these are... yeah, I use 4 lots of beastlings here, I believe. Yeah. And that is enough damage to kill even without breaking. So we're gonna tag Merry Hills, which will also reset the step count, which is nice. And it allows us to go back here later when we need to. But we're gonna run down here in order to fight some guys, fight some chill guys. These are some foreign assassins, and these guys get kind of rolled pretty quickly, since we can just defend with Particio and Throné, and then use 2 lots of hideout beastlings. So we'll break them all and get a mass amount of damage in all of them. And yeah, it just kills them really quick. Like, twice the amount of hired help is insane. Hits all the weaknesses of them as well. It's super good. And the reason we do that is so we can now hire the foreign assassins when we use hired help. So instead of veteran soldiers being the best, it is now those guys, and they are really strong. Gonna go around learning a few more skills. Learn the same skills on like merchant and scholar, but we're also gonna learn 4 skills on the cleric with Temenos. That is for the skill Evil Ward, which is very helpful since Evil Ward allows you to escape with much more success. So instead of having to break enemies or fight enemies, we can instead just run away, and it's really nice for that reason. So walking through these screens, we want to kill them with Temenos's changeable catapult. We don't need to use hired help or anything for this. Changeable catapult just does enough damage since it's a little bit of a lower area. And we're looking for Throné to have 4,800 JP, which no, 3,800 JP, I think. Which I have there, so that means now every time I get an encounter, I'm just gonna flee instead of fighting it normally. Which will definitely save a lot of time, since it takes so much less time to flee than to fight, since it skips the animation of the attack, and then skips like the victory jingle, and yeah, it's just way nicer. So we're kind of running around based around Sai right now. Okay, what I did there, I think I thought my JP was like surprisingly low given I got a Kate, so I just double checked to make sure I actually had the JP augmenter on. I think that's the reason for that. So there are various items which are good to get around here. So up here is a reinforcing jam, which is an item you can use which will fully refill the BP and latent power of your target party member, which is very powerful since Usually latent power and full boost is what you want to get your most powerful attacks out. So it is pretty damn useful. And then we're going to go into near Taku to just run over there, get a quick chest. That has a fire starter in it. So that is a sword which does whatever damage, I'm not really sure. But it also is... But the main reason we get it is because its bonus effect is increasing the amount of fire damage that is dealt. And Oswald has a fire skill just in his loadout, the fireball. So that is useful. That is going to make itself very useful. Again, instead of fighting, we're just going to flee. We're going to run into the Quicksand Gale for another battle. Another foe to fight. Make sure to set it to night just before going to it. It's right by the chest. So we're going to get rid of its shield with Oswald and Throné. And use the critical scope, which is an event skill, which makes all attacks done to it critical hits. Which allows us to use the cleric skill of the mystical staff to hit the damage cap twice. And then use Partitio's hide help guards in order to get a bunch of extra damage from that. And it is pretty damn useful. And from that chest we get a rusty axe, which can be traded with Porter. And also at the end we find a Scorchbone Spear, which is like the fire starter in terms of increases fire damage. But it's, instead of being a sword, it's a spear, basically. And so about the damage cap. So it's, at the start of the game, it's 9,999. But you can increase that to 99,999 by learning a specific skill we will be acquiring later on. So that is going to be very important in order for doing our maximum amount of damage with our various characters. And it's very vital for this run since you can deal way over than... I mean, the fact that we're already dealing the damage cap, like less than 50 minutes in, definitely means that we can go way beyond that once we're properly set up. Yeah, just doing a bunch of things, getting some various items from these guys. Including a book called From the Far Reaches of Hell, which is going to be very useful, given it's part of one of the quests required for Galdera. So it's absolutely 100% required we get. And from there we get our 2 rusty weapons traded in. We're going to sell the Dancer's Blade, but we're not going to sell the axe. We actually do want the axe for later on. And we're also going to purchase a reinforcing jam off this lady. So now it's been a little while since we've added someone to our party, so I guess it's time to do that. First we got to unequip some items, some step ahead from some people, so Temenos always is at the front. And we also gave a new skill to Temenos, so this is Peak Performance. Peak Performance is a skill which increases the amount of damage dealt when you're at full HP. And given we are able to use a step ahead to basically just non-interact with all the bosses, it's very valuable. Since we basically should be at full HP, since the mindset with a lot of these fights is you don't get hit. So this is Ochette. Her class is the Hunter, which isn't useful for the speedrun, really. But yeah, she is the Hunter. Her story is all about trying to hunt down these creatures of legend in order to protect the island of Totohaha from bad things incoming. So that's another book we need for a Galdera quest, and then we also want to guide that guy with Temenos. That's one of his path actions. He has the ability to guide people if he wants, of course. Let me just do that with that guy since he's out of the way, and you can guide anyone you want, but you have to be a specific level for that. So if someone's like too strong of a guy, basically, you can't bring them out, or you can't attempt to guide them. So in this section we need to use Temenos in order to just quickly get through some enemies. and that'll give us enough XP and JP on Ochet to learn some useful skills. So we want to get 1 encounter on the side screens, and then up here in Wellgrove we want to get 3 encounters. So we can do that all with just using changeable catapult, just really quickly going through all that menuing. And due to a bug, the sword version of changeable catapult on Temenos actually uses the stats from Giant's Club, rather than Temenos' sword damage right now, which is not going to be very good. So it just allows for a bunch of quick damage that way. So yeah, it's very helpful in just sweeping quickly. Yeah, it's a good strat. I like changeable catapult. It's a stupid move, but I'm a fan. So one more encounter will be seen on this screen. Then we can go into a much higher level area. And before we were turning to the merchant class in order to deal with these like level 45 areas, but now we're strong enough to deal with them just on our own, with the power of peak performance, Temenos, blessing of darkness, or moonlight judgment rather. So we set it to night just before the encounter happens, and then we boost twice and use another changeable catapult, and that will deal enough damage. That will deal like 7k damage, and we'll get rid of that fight. I believe if you defend and then do a max boost version, you actually hit the damage cap, which is kind of crazy to hit, given that is literally turn 1 and you're hitting damage cap. Because step ahead turn is technically turn 0. It's going to give Ochet some empowering light sheets to fill up her latent power gauge, and also put her onto merchant. Learn the various skills we need. Hired help, very important. And we're going to equip a skill onto Throné, which is called Life in the Shadows. I forgot to equip something onto Oswald. Whoops. But Life in the Shadows is it's another one of those increasing SP or increasing JP and XP skills, but this will work whenever it's the nighttime. So whenever it's night, you'll just get a boost to your JP and SP and XP whenever you win an encounter during a night, which is going to be all the time now. So in this area, a few more inquiries and scrutinizers and purchases. That one gives us a nut for increasing our stats. And then we can buy the Ancient Circlet, which is going to be very useful for increasing our magic damage. I think this... Yeah, magic nut. I thought it was. Don't want to say, though, in case I look like an idiot. So we're now going to go from Temenos being the big damage dealer to Oswald being our big damage dealer. So we've now got the Scorchbone Spear and the Fire Starter, so our fire damage, we've basically just turned Oswald into our own portable Soulstone. And here I noticed that I don't have the correct skills on Oswald, so I need to update that. So step ahead and then... I never equip peak performance. There we go. There's peak performance. So we've basically got the same thing going with Oswald. This guy refuses to let you pass unless... Oh, he just refuses to let you pass, so you have to turn it to night quickly and then ambush him. And that'll get you past. So this will do steal more damage, or basically the same amount of damage, as you would be dealing with Temenos' changeable catapult. But in, yeah, basically any area you want. And also the fact that it's Oswald, it's a magic attack as well. It's going to guarantee you get the hits rather than risking any misses. Another benefit to this is that, or another, like, I guess not downside, is that you'll level up quick enough to the point where the fact that you're using SP for that doesn't even matter. That is the final book we need to buy, so whenever we go back to Montwise, we can now cash in for that quest. So we get level ups really quickly. Oswald has a good amount of SP anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but yeah, we can just get up to that point. And it's chill. It's chill. Gonna do 3 steals, so we get a Mighty Leaf and then 2 energizing pomegranates. Pomegranates are the items which will refill boost points, so we can use that to basically just spam our most powerful boosted attacks if we want. Then the pomegranate leaf is basically Cassidy's concoct version. So I mentioned concoct allows you to give buffs that wouldn't be possible otherwise with just regular items. So she can give like HP boosts whilst also supplying SP and BP, for example, and also boosting the attack, for example. It's got a lot of potential in what you can do with it. So we're going to finish this quest here. That will give us an item called the Alluring Ribbon, which increases the random encounter chance. So it doesn't sound what you do want, but later on when we need to do a little bit of grinding, it's going to come in useful. So now we're finally going to say hi to Agnia, who could have been the 3rd party member we got, but we haven't had a need for her yet, so we're just going to get her then. One of her path actions is being able to allure people to go into battle with you. And that is a set percent chance. So the strongest enemies will have strongest NPCs will have a lower chance, and then weak enemies like that will be, for example, 100% chance. And the reason we want to like have these people with us, we're not actually going to really use them, but this bridge beneath the wall, if you have seven or more travelers, so our 4 party members plus 3 people we're taking, that will break the bridge. It'll become too heavy and it'll break the bridge. And we'll fall down, and that will be a extra area we can go to later on. But we don't want to do it right now because having Agnia in the party isn't great for us since she's level 1 and doesn't really have any super useful skills just yet. So we're going to save that until later. And since we want both Throné and Oswald for that fight, we can't do anything with that just yet, since neither of them can summon people into battle. So we're going to learn the warrior license there, so everyone can now be a warrior if we want them to. And the warrior license is going to be very valuable, since that is one of the support skills it gives, or being able to increase your damage cap is one of the support skills it gives. So we're now going to be able to get some crazy damage. So 2 encounters will be on this island. You need to set it to night before both of them so we can get the extra damage and the extra XP. And then after this next one, we're going to give a step ahead to everyone, so that we can start this fight off in the right way. So this is the Gigantes, or coming up will be the Gigantes. So I'm pretty sure as the gimmick he respawn or gets extra shield points every turn, I think. But we kill him before that's relevant, so it doesn't really matter. So just trying to get a little few hits on this turn, and then you can use 4 hits of Throné Sword on this turn. And then from there, just Mystical Staff to hit damage cap twice, and then 4 lots of Beastlings to hit another lot of damage cap. And get through that fight really quickly. So the reason we need that is because of the guy who will pop out here. This is George's Lazuli, I believe his name is. And he knows how to decipher unknown languages, which is very useful in terms of... which is going to be required for one of the Galdera quests, basically. So we need to know that. Also, the Finisher's Clause is very useful. That increases damage on critical hits, which is very easy to get access to due to due to the critical scope from the inventor, allowing for that pretty quickly. So we'll put that onto Oswald later, so we can just get some crazy damage there. Before we get this first encounter. These enemies are all a lot beefier, so we need to be pretty careful in what we do here. So we're going to use Advanced Magic, which will make Oswald's attacks hit twice. And from there we can just use our boosted 4x Firestorm, which will hit twice and deal a good amount of damage each time. Which will, yeah, just be strong. Then we go behind here for a Lost Tribe Staff. This is an even better staff than what Oswald has already, so his damage is going to be increased even further. And before we get into the boss, we're going to switch it to night again, so we get another encounter. So for this one, we want to want to get some hits off, and then Advanced Magic Oswald on himself, and then defend with Partitio. This will allow him to hired help mercenaries, which will do 4 hits of sword damage, and break our 2 enemies, and then we can use the Firestorm to just completely roll them. And from there we're able to teach Oswald how to deal the damage, to increase the damage cap, which will be very useful. Give him some of the items we've picked up, including a healing grape, so we get to max HP, so we get the extra damage from peak performance. We're also going to give him deal more damage over the extra experience, so he's dealing extra damage. So we're going to advance magic onto Oswald, onto himself, and then critical scope as well, and defend with Partitio and Throné. These 2 characters are able to just get enough hits off from their single lance attacks to get enough damage to break it, and then we can Latent Power with Oswald to deal his multi-hit damage as strong single-hit damage. So we're able to do that for a fully boosted Firestorm to deal insane amounts of damage to that one enemy. And then that's quite not enough, so we need to get 1 more Firestorm and then some extra damage caps from Mystical Staff. And from there we're able to get the Stone of Truth, which gives the advanced magic buff from the start of battle, pretty much. We also use some of our magic nuts onto Oswald to increase his magic damage even further. So we're going to head into the Montwise Library, finish our quest about giving the books to the lady. She's been missing some books. And then we're going to go to our friend Al from before. He's now going to be in the library. And by just telling him how to translate those languages. First we got to steal a lighty from him. But by telling him how to translate those languages, he will be able to finish the quest, and that is the path to Galdera unlocked. But we're not quite ready to fight him just yet. Before that point, we've got to do a few things first. So we're going to fill up Oswald's Latent Power again, so we can use his powerful thing some more. And we're also going to give Oswald the Stone of Truth. Optimize Throné's equipment so she has the necessary skills. And we've got a little mini-boss. This guy doesn't really... It's not really going to give us much of a threat right now, so we're just able to break him pretty quickly. Firestorm to hit twice. And then Critical Scope. 4 Lance attacks will hit the rest of the damage with Partitio. And then a Firestorm. No Latent Power. Will just deal insane amounts of damage to the battle-worn shark, and yeah, we'll completely roll him. And then from there we can head into the Curious Nest. So this random encounter will just die to Oswald's attack. Unfortunately, we got Oswald last, which is the worst possible RNG. Ideally, you just get him first, but it's whatever. So now we can fight the Tiano Drake. So this guy, every time you hit him with a specific elemental weakness, his weakness will change. and he'll lose that weakness specifically. So we get all 6 regular attacks, and then we have to use the last 4 with Partitio, and then we can just use boosted 3 attacks on Throné and Temenos to get two lots of damage caps, and then just use some crazy stuff with Oswald with latent power, full boosted attacks there. And we get this Fang of Ferocity at the end of the tunnel, which will increase boosted attack damage. Gonna give the Alluring Ribbon to Partitio. And then we're gonna get rid of all the step ahead skills, get rid of deal more damage in exchange for extra experience, get rid of evasive maneuvers, and I misclicked there. And all this. Okay, I am. What was going on in that menu? There we go. So now we have to do a little bit of grinding. You have to get rid of all the enemies in our path. And that is done very simply by just boosting a Firestorm and using it. That's all it really needs. We don't need to hit the damage caps, and we don't really have the means to right now, since we're hitting unbroken enemies. So extra experience is going to be more helpful there. So you have to do this for about 4 or so minutes, I believe. Just running around. We also collect various items in here, so there are 4 chests lying around this room. So 2 of them contain weapons that we can sell later. Since we don't have any use for them, we can just sell them instead. And 2 of them have items called Decaying Dragon's Essences, which are pretty valuable items, since they deal a bit of physical damage, which won't deal much damage. It does like a 100-ish, I think. But the main benefit of it is it deals 4 hits of the shield points no matter what. So if I hit, say, that 6 shield frog with 1, that would go from 6 shields to 4 shields. Or to 6 to 2, rather. So that is useful on the final few fights, which have a lot of shield points. And so to get encounters as fast as possible, I'm just dashing left and right. So the magic number here, we need 7,800 JP on Oswald. And you get about 400 each time you do an encounter, so we're here for about 4 or so minutes. So in terms of what's left for the run, we've got to do a few various, a few encounters just around the world. Or, yeah, go to a few various towns and collect various items, so that will increase our stats, increase our potential damage output. And then, yeah, make sure all our menus are correct, make sure all our party members are set up properly. And then we can do one side boss in order to get access to the Gate of Finis. And then it's just the 2 phases of Galdera. And then that's the run. How much do we have right now? Yeah, it is a shame you have to grind, but it's whatever. It's not too long, and it's near the end. So 6,200, so that's 3 or 4 extra encounters, I think. $6,600. Yeah, at least the grinding section's near enough to the end. Alright, so I think it's either 2 or 3 more now. 7,000. I think technically it's like 7,796 or something, so I just round it up to 7,800. And I mean, the chance of getting that like specific tiny amount is not likely anyway, so yes, 7,800. So I think I need 1 extra encounter. Yeah, 7,723. So I know I just need 1 more. So I just hold down. And then the bones will give enough. So I have all the XP or all the JP I need plus some extra, so that's fine. So we're gonna go to Wellgrove. This area has some various items. So diffusing serum allows Cassie's concocts to affect everyone, and then we mug this guy as well, who has a bunch of nuts we can use, such as a magic nut, which we can use for our party or for Oswald specifically, in order to increase his magic damage that much more. Since it's really only Throné and Oswald who are going to be doing the really big damage to our bosses, so everything's all about just supporting them as much as possible. And we also pick up the Dancer's License. So the Dancer, we haven't really used that class at all, but it can be useful since it has a support skill, which is called Show Goes On, which basically means your buffs last for 1 turn longer, which comes in clutch. So we're going to buy the Diamond Dagger from this guy, which will be Throné's main way of dealing damage. We're also going to buy a few things and steal a few things. These are all to increase speed, which are all for Throné in particular. So we're looking for 1,500 or 151 as our 3 first numbers there, which we got, or we were over rather. So we can go on without needing to worry about money anymore. That's the amount of money we need to finish the run with now. Steal from this guy for the light nut, which I believe increases your speed. Then another mugging against this lady for even more things. Really quick encounter just using Oswald's fire. From there we can head into Winterbloom. You can steal a specific item from an old man. This is a red apple, which will give you full boost points at the start of battle no matter what. So we're going to put Patricio onto Dancer quickly to get him to learn Show Goes On, and then we learn all of the cleric skills. And so give him Step Ahead, Show Goes On. So the cleric, in terms of allowing for buffs, the cleric has a skill called Aba's Reckoning. Or not Aba's Reckoning. What's it called? Elfric's Blessing. There we go. Which allows you to go again at the end of your turn. Which is going to be very, very useful. And we also put our unerring bracelets onto Hikari. That will basically just give us as much accuracy as possible on him, as well as putting the things for increasing your XP onto Temenos instead. So now we're going to do one little menu here. Gonna learn a bunch of skills for Throné on Warrior, so she can hit more, since she can hit the damage cap, and also put Agni onto Inventor, so she uses those skills instead. 2 skills for Dancer, so he has longer buffs, and then Scholar for advanced for Elemental Barrage, which is a very high-hitting attack. Gonna use a bunch of our nuts, so the Fortifying Nuts to increase physical attack on Throné, Elemental Attack with the Magic Nuts, and then Accuracy with Sharp Nuts, and then Light Nuts for speed on Throné, which will increase her, actually increase her damage as well. Gonna optimize our equipment and give us Champion's Belt and Finisher's Claws, and the Fang of Ferocity on Throné to increase our damage by boosted attacks. Gonna learn a skill called Aba's Reckoning, which is Throné's most powerful skill she can use. It's basically just a physical attack, which the damage dealt increases alongside speed. Also changing our party setup to make it more in terms of Particio allowing for buffs, and also just increasing Throné and Oswald's general damage. Since we don't need like the extra resources anymore, we can just use it for that. So critical scope to get max damage, and then defend. Pomegranate onto Throné, so she has 4 BP on the next turn, or 3 BP on the next turn. So a Firestorm will give a big chunk of damage off this guy, and then Aba's Reckoning which can only be used at max boost, will deal the rest of it. And it's an insanely strong move. And we're able to finish the fight against the Scourge of the Sea really, really quickly. By slowly swimming or slowly sailing, we're able to get there without getting an encounter. And on this Lost Isle, we're gunning for... this is where we can learn one of our other secret classes. So this is the Arcanist. We're going to unlock up here. And I'm not really sure what this class does. I haven't really used it at all. But it is very valuable in the speedrun for one specific support skill. So that is the Price of Power, which will double the amount of damage your elemental attacks do, but also double the cost. So it's a trade-off, but since we can manage our SP very well with Oswald in the Galdera battle, it's not too big of a deal for us. And we also get this Ancient Curse Talisman, which is an item that when used will debuff an enemy in like every single way. So elemental, physical, evasion, yeah, basically everything is just going to be weaker in every possible way. So now we can sail over to the Gate of Finis finally, do one final menu before entering the fights, and yeah, then that'll be the run. So make sure to switch it to night. So the first thing we're going to do in this menu is put Oswald onto the Arcanist and learn 4 skills, and then put him back onto Warrior. Use Healing Grape and the Inspiriting Plum to make sure everyone's at the max skills, and then 5-star Scorchbone Spear to increase fire damage. Learn assess all the possible skills on our 2 side characters, and just give them a couple more skills for increase, and give Oswald and Throné a couple more skills for just increasing the damage that tiny little bit more. And also allow Agnia's buffs to last 1 extra turn. So now we are heading in to Galdera. So this is an interesting fight since it forces you to split your party into 2 different parties basically. So the first party will be all about Oswald's elemental damage, and the second will be about Throné's physical damage. So we start off with Oswald. This is the Omniscient Eye. So we start off using Ochet's Latent Power. Gives her 3 different attacks to use, but the Beastly Howl will lower all weak points by 1. Then we can use Elfric's Blessing to give Agnia a turn at the end, which allows her to use the Spring Boots on Ochet to make her always go at the start, and also give Particio a bunch of free SP, or free BP rather. Beastlings will break these souls, and then from there we can critical scope all of them and use Agnia's Latent Power for that. Give Ochet the Red Apple to max out her boost points, and then use another Elfric's Blessing onto Oswald. So now Oswald and Agnia are going at the end of every turn. So Peacock Strat increases Oswald's elemental damage, and from there we can use 2 boosts and a Firestorm, and that will hit all of those souls and kill them basically. And we'll now reveal the eye. So we can hit him 4 times with the guard, which will send it to the end of the turn. And then we can use a Decaying Dragon Essence to get rid of the rest of the boost points. Revitalizing Jam on Oswald to fill up everything, basically. And the Ancient Curse Talisman to weaken the eye in every way. And then we can use our first Latent Power boosted Firestorm, which will deal incredible amount of damage. A Reinforcing Jam on Oswald will allow him to do that in the next turn. Foreign Assassins deal a good amount of damage, and also Hired Help Veterans will deal a good amount of damage as well. And then with Oswald again, we can use our 4 boosted Latent Power Firestorm, which will hit very hard. And use that one more time to completely roll the enemy. This will put Galdera into his final phase where or the eye into its final phase where it gets 16 boost points. So we use that to hit once, and then Thunder to hit twice. Defend with those 2, and then get another hit off with a Light Soulstone. Then we can use one more Inventor Skills. This is the Elemental Bomb Bottle, which will hit 8 times because every weakness on the eye is revealed. And then from there we can use Paticio's latent power, and use another 4 on Assassins to get the last 4 hits we need to get the kill. And then finally we can use Ochette, we can use Empowering Light to fill up Oswald's latent power, and use one last Firestorm to kill the eye. So that is phase 1 of Galdera. Phase 2 involves RNG. There is a 66-ish% chance, so a 2 in 3 chance of this fight working. And I got lucky here. Because Hikari was before Temenos. So we can now start off by using Throné's latent power plus the reinforcing jam to just basically just be able to spam Aba's Reckoning to get lots of really quick damage on the 3 main parts of Galdera. So we can use a reinforcing jam and then another Aba's Reckoning, and this just does really good damage really quickly. So we can now use her Concoct, so 2 lots of Pomegranate, Whimsical Diffusing and Strengthening, which will move everyone to the front and give them a bunch of boost points. And will affect everyone. So we've used Elfric's Blessing twice to move Cassidy and Throné to the end of the turns, and also Hienka, which will allow Hikari to, for this turn alone, to be moved to the end, which is part of his latent power. So we're going to use more Concoction, and this will give everyone a solid amount. And then we're going to hit 8 lots of the weaknesses with this. Decaying Dragon's Essence will hit another 4, and then another 4 with Hikari, and then we can use Temenos' Elemental Barrage with his latent power, which will allow him to hit the weakness no matter what. Revitalizing Jam on Throné will fill up all of her things since she's very low now. And then Armor Corrosive to weaken physical defense. Lionheart's Axe a bunch of times, since that does an insane amount of damage each time you use it. So another Revitalizing Jam to fill up her boost points and her latent power. And then 2 more Lionheart's Axes. One of them full boost, one of them 2 boost. And then from there, that is the fight. That is literal. Then we won. That is the run. So just skip through these cutscenes, and then once the item appears, that is time. So that is Octopath 2 Galdera. I hope you enjoyed the run, if you watched it all the way through. I believe I played on 60 or 120 FPS at the end here. But yeah, this run's like decently solid. I got some bad RNG in the early game, but it's whatever. Yeah, 120 FPS. So yeah, thank you everyone. Bye bye.